This is gonna sound like I'm talking out of my ass.
Then please try to enunciate.
No, it's a figure. Never mind.
Hello and welcome to the first episode of our new show. I guess it is. Where's my thing? I'm just out of sorts already, Dave. See, this is what happens when you're not the guy. Anyway, welcome, space enthusiasts and sci-fi aficionados. This is the Orville Review Show, a live long in podcast where we deep dive into the universe of this crazy space dramedy. Each week, we dissect an episode of the Orville, and today we're setting our sights on the series premiere, Old Wounds. Join us as we navigate through the stellar storytelling and cosmic comedy, exploring how this show both pays homage to and pokes fun at the classic tropes of the genre. So, buckle up for an engaging review, insightful commentary, and a few laughs along the way. This is the Orville Review Show, and I'm your host, Jody Simpson. And joining me tonight is David Mader, or Dave Mader, depending on how you say it.
That is correct. I am here. I'm doing my Bortus here. All right. Glad to be here.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. All right. And of course, we have Kevin Millard as well. Hello, Kevin.
Hello.
The champion Kevin Millard.
Yeah. Hockey legend.
Yeah.
Legend of the game.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right. Defeater of Duda.
Defeater of Judah. Defeater of everyone.
Which is
Slayer of all kinds. So he's here.
And of course, guys, who could forget our fun factorian, Adam Woodward?
Hey, guys.
Wow.
Jody, that was a stellar introduction. Stellar.
No, it wasn't. It sucked. Anyway.
Interstellar, I would say.
Yeah.
All right. And remember, guys, we need no longer fear the banana.
Does it do salads?
Does it do salads? What about fruit? Anyway, thanks for joining us. Oh, the GOAT number 2, Kevin Millard. What? The GOAT number 2?
Wait,
no, he's number 1.
How could it be number 2?
How can he be the GOAT?
Well, because
2?
I think he
What's
means
that
my dad is GOAT number 1. So he's giving you
your dad doesn't exist on this podcast. It's fine.
Yeah, he's on tomorrow's night's show.
Your dad, though, also a hockey legend.
Yes. That's true. He is.
Not as much as Kevin Millard, but right up there. But
really
we have Next Generation tomorrow night, and Sam was wondering why we're starting late. It's Adam's fault.
My fault, Sam. I got meetings until 8.
It just happens. There's nothing you can do about it.
But I appreciate them. It's really late for you, Sam. I'm sorry about that, but hey, too bad.
Is that late for Sam? Oh yeah, he's in Nova Scotia, isn't he?
Newfoundland. Where they got that half-hour time zone.
For the half hour.
Yeah, we go half hour.
Those silly time zones.
Yeah. Don't you remember the CBC when we were growing up? 8 o'clock in Halifax and 8:30 in Newfoundland.
8:30 in Newfoundland.
That's because the Newfoundland people are
time zones usually work in hours. Newfies, no.
Run slow over there. What do you want? Anyway, sorry. I'm just.
Sorry, guys. I got a loose cord. I keep kicking it, but I'm still here all the time.
Oh, right. That's good. Anyway, shall we get into this, guys? I assume you've watched the episode because
I did
be here.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Dave?
Better than I remembered.
Better than you remembered, really?
Yeah. I hadn't watched this pilot since it first aired. And I think I had different expectations of that going in back then in 2017. It was really marketed at the time like Galaxy Quest. Like this is going to be like the TV version of Galaxy Quest. And it's not. Like I would say it's got some of that humor, but it's kind of just Star Trek with a few more jokes is what it feels like to me.
It really is. Yeah, it's supposed to be a little bit more humor, I guess.
Yeah, and it is, and it's funny, but it's also it takes itself pretty seriously. And I guess Galaxy Quest did to an extent, but it's
I think if you're looking for just Galaxy Quest, this isn't the show because there is a lot of drama in it. There's a lot of action in it, especially in the later episodes. First couple episodes, I wouldn't say is too action packed, but it's not bad. But overall, I think it definitely pays homage to the genre. Like more than anything, really.
And, well, you can tell Seth MacFarlane is a fan of Star Trek.
And the money to do what he wants with it, So
it was a pretty spectacular first season for sure. So overall,
Yeah.
Adam, what do you think?
Yeah. So, guys, I didn't watch any of this until probably 21 when, we were in COVID and started getting
Oh,
into it
really?
then. So I watched it, I want to say in 21, and then I watched it again yesterday, the premiere. It was good. I get like you guys better than I remembered. Funnier than I remembered.
Yeah, it's
Right.
got some good jokes in it. The banana one is still one of my favorite ones, but there's quite a lot in here actually. So maybe we'll touch into some of that later.
I think the pizza party one is still the funniest one for me. And this when I rewatched this.
Oh.
Can we go? Oh, Boris, can we go to the pizza party?
Can we go to the pizza party, please?
Yeah.
He turns into like this 11-year-old kid who didn't get
Yeah.
invited to the
Can I
birthday
wear
party
shorts
at
on the
Mickey
bridge?
D's.
I already told you no. You know,
I already told you
this-
no.
this-
I like the helmsman who he's like I just have a question. Can I still drink my soda on the deck on the
yeah,
on the bridge?
Jay Lamar.
Yeah,
As long as you keep it below the controllers.
as long as you keep it below the controls, yeah, which is I think that's reasonable. Kevin,
For me, it's also better than I remembered, and I loved it the first time I watched it. I thought it was a lot more cheesy the first episode, but it's not. The only gag that doesn't land for me is the dude outside the window of the office.
yeah,
the
that
only
was
one.
Just yeah,
But other than that, this is great. It's like got the perfect mix.
That joke felt a lot like Family Guy, the ones that just keep going on.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it goes on way longer than it needs to. Like if he said it once, maybe it might be okay, but the fact that like we're keep hitting it over and over again, and it's supposed to be a serious moment too, like which
Yeah.
is it just breaks it up really bad. So, but past that, we'll get to that eventually. But yeah, I feel the same way, Kevin. I remember thinking it was really more silly than it was serious, but now that I've watched it again, it's like, oh wow, this actually isn't as silly as I remember it being, but there is some good jokes in there. And they're joke that like we wouldn't think of in that type of universe when we've dealt with Star Trek and all that stuff. And it's like it's kind of funny, like in theory, if you're doing an 8-hour work shift on the bridge, you might need a drink.
You might need to go to the bathroom.
Yeah,
You
you might
know.
have to go to the bathroom. Yeah.
Well, like the interpersonal stuff and the fact that there's this divorce between the main characters and all these things. But I also just wanted to kind of touch upon that, this is the first non-Star Trek show that we're doing here on Live Long and Podcast
It
because
is.
I think it's as Star Trek in spirit, if not in name and everything else. Our friend Norman here pointing out that this premiered weeks before Star Trek Discovery did, which we just wrapped last week, like with the finale.
Just
That
finished
show
it,
just and we are going to get, I think, another season here of the Orville. Although they're kind of on different schedules and whatever else, but I'd say that in terms of like what I grew up watching, what we all kind of watched, like Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and all the way through to Enterprise. Like I feel like the Orville is definitely in that spirit. And then when they launched Discovery, it's kind of they're trying to reinvent Star Trek to an extent.
Yeah.
Going into like Strange New Worlds and this new era for better or worse, whatever.
And when you think about it, when they release this, if they're releasing this right at Discovery's start, this might have been a good time to do that because of the fact that we're going into new territory with Discovery. A lot of people didn't like that new way. So it's kind of nice to have something to kind of hold you off, I guess.
Well, I remember thinking that when these both came out, I was like, this is what I wanted, not
Discovery.
Yeah.
And my understanding is like Seth MacFarlane did pitch, CBS, Viacom.
He wanted to do a Star Trek series,
and they turned him down, so he went and did this instead.
They
Right?
probably didn't
Well,
want it to be his brand of humor, right?
and and there's a lot of speculation that Lower Decks really is kind of what he kind of pitched in a way, and then they took it later, kind of thing. So
So did they steal his concept?
I doubt they stole his concept, but I'm sure they borrowed from some of it. But he would be borrowing anyway, so it wouldn't make a difference.
Just wanted to touch on our one question. Where Sam wants to know where Davin is. So
he's not a fan.
He's not a fan of specifically of Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah, does not like Seth MacFarlane at all.
And
well, then he's not going to like this show with the lead
character.
Well, the third season he might like because there's less of him and more of every other character. But yeah, the first season.
Seth MacFarlane is the creator of the show, the star of the show, the writer of this pilot episode. It's his baby. You can't truly separate him from this show, but
it's like he does though. It's like he's heavily engaged in the beginning and then pulls himself out.
Yeah, and it becomes character driven, much like Next Generation is, where this is like a Bortus episode or whatever will come after this. But I don't feel like Ed Mercer is Seth MacFarlane. I feel like they're two different things.
No,
like,
they are
one's a
definitely two different people, and it's Seth MacFarlane does have a certain brand of humor, but I think he did let the writers go a little further on this than he would with like Family Guy or something like that, right?
Yeah, and I'm not a huge fan of Family Guy or his other stuff. Like I don't like Ted really.
Can't say I'm that much of a fan either, but it's
I love Family Guy, but
Family Guy can be funny. But
I will say this is that the other thing surprised about this show is like all the guest starring roles that show up over the years. You get a lot of people that you recognize and go, oh man, I would never think
Ted Danson, Charlize Theron.
Yeah,
there's tons of people in
Liam
show.
Neeson.
Yeah.
Liam Neeson's in an episode. Yeah, like
Even
who gets
in this-
Liam Neeson in a sci-fi?
The first episode, the first scene that we're about to get into has Rob Lowe.
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
and he's
Rob
back
Lowe is
later.
Alien. Yeah,
He's back later.
Yeah.
And this pilot is directed by John Favreau.
Like
directed a few big
Seth,
things.
Seth MacFarlane has been very successful and knows a lot of people.
He knows
Right.
tons of people. Yeah.
Yeah, more so than the Discovery people, I'd say. They don't have those connections.
Anyway, what do you say? Shall we start breaking this down?
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Let's
do it.
get into it.
All right. Oh, why is this not?
Kind of feels like a love book,
Double
where
click
you
it,
could
or
have like,
bottom
and starring
right,
this
that
week.
little arrow. Yeah.
There we go. All right. So anyway,
24/18.
Wait, what was that, Adam?
I said it kind of feels like a love boat. They could have like somebody, and guest starring this week is Rob Lowe. And
You know what?
Yes.
That's actually a really good. That's a really good comparison, because really it kind of is, because whoever is part of the episode, like the celebrity guest of the episode, is definitely the focus of the episode most of the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that does make perfect sense.
what was kind of cool about this scene to me is that, so we all know Seth MacFarlane was on a plane, or was supposed to be on a plane that either crashed into
9/11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah,
have
they
the
could-
Freedom Tower in one of the opening scenes, along with all the Brooklyn Bridge, Statue of Liberty. There's the Freedom
Yeah.
Tower.
This is the Freedom Tower right here, right?
Yeah.
Right there.
Right there. Yeah.
But in the future, there's more gardens on tops of buildings. That's
Yeah.
There sure is. There's a lot of gardens there.
You see the Empire State Building a little later. Really, really true to the skyline.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we got
There it
mammoth
is.
buildings and stuff. Yeah, there's the
Yeah.
Freedom Tower, which is great. And of course, yeah, there goes Dave's idea there of all the plants on top of all these buildings. Like there's tons. So
yeah, it's nice. It looks it looks like eco
we
urban.
lost Kevin. Oh,
He
just
hit his cord again. He's
Ah.
rambunctious.
He's a rambunctious man. Anyway, did anybody get the vibe of 2001 from this pod that he comes into?
I did.
Comes
I
in
thought
with-
that,
yeah.
and I thought it was very cool. Like you just show up at your door, and it's really no different than showing up with a car. But
It totally reminded me of the Jetsons, where it's like, the car that just shows up at your house kind of thing and lets you out.
Yeah. and also like the minimalist apartment that he's got. And
Which is a set we'll see on another episode. Because literally they do it again. But yeah, this little pod is like, I tried to get as much as I could of it, but the little pod is like very 2001-ish for that, which I thought was kind of cool. There's a lot of little things that he's hidden in the show, which I don't think we're going to be able to see a lot in the screenshots, but it's always fun to watch. So basically Mercer shows up. He all of a sudden hears a noise coming from his
there's
bedroom.
laughing, female
Yeah,
laughing.
lots of laughter. And there is Rob Lowe as a blue alien. And of course, his wife, soon to be ex-wife, sitting there, and obviously they're enjoying themselves. Now, unfortunately, I have to apologize. I used the automatic screen capture, and it did not capture the spot where he actually splooges all over everything. So there's a part where basically, when this alien gets frightened or upset, he basically shoots out like a blue ink out of his face, and it's like all over the place, and he's like, oh god. blue alien rather than low.
He's rather low.
He's rather low. So anyway, Mercer's like, yeah, no, I'm not putting up with this crap, I'm leaving. And he's contemplating his kind of life.
Kelly tries to apologize, but yeah, he's not having it. And
Yeah,
he
he's
just-
not having any of it. He's like, nope, we're good, I'm done, bye-bye. So a year passes by, and now we're at the Yeah, what is it? Planets. What is it?
Planetary Union
Planetary
Central.
Union, that's it. Yep. Oh, we got somebody in here. Brutal
Is
Codeine
this
says
the Orville? Yes, you have found the Orville.
it is the Orville. You're absolutely correct. I know it's a little different for this channel, but you know we're branching a bit here. Anyway, 1 year later, we're at the headquarters, which now I've screwed up my thing here. Hold on. All right, one of these days I'll be professional. All right. So anyway, he gets to sit down and he's sitting down with the admiral,
Victor Garbo.
Victor
Victor
Garbo.
Garber. Yeah.
Garber, yes,
Pardon me,
Garber. Yeah,
Garber.
he was in
Canadian.
Alias.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, he was in Alias. He was in. a whole
He was
bunch
in
of stuff.
Fargo
Oh
Yeah.
yes, he
or
was in
Argo.
Fargo.
Argo, not
Argo.
Fargo.
Or
Argo.
yeah, the
He was
one
the
with,
Canadian ambassador in Argo.
Yeah, he was the Ben Affleck flick. Yeah,
He was also in The
Um,
Flash.
and
was he in the
Titanic.
Flash?
Legends of Tomorrow and
Oh,
stuff.
he was in Titanic as well. Yep.
Yeah, he's in Titanic.
right.
He's a great
Yeah.
actor. Yeah.
Yeah, Adam got that one. I totally forgot Titanic. I still remember my ass hurting in the theater. Anyway, so basically they're having a discussion and we kind of get the opinion that maybe Mercer's a bit of a screw up. You know, he's been denied a couple times for a captaincy on a ship. And basically the admiral says, I got a ship. You know, it's a medium cruiser exploratory vessel, and it's called the Orville. And fun fact, the reason why he called it the Orville was because obviously the Orville, the brothers,
The Wright brothers.
yeah, the Wright brothers, but Orville is always the one that doesn't get a lot of attention, so that's why he
It was Wilbur and Orville, or is
yeah,
that why?
Wilbur, Orville, and yeah,
Those are the two
no,
Wright brothers.
Orville and Wilbur, yeah.
Orville and Wilbur. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So with that, he basically says, you know, we'll give you this ship. It's only missing a helmsman and a CO, and then after that, they have a full complement. I guess the previous person has retired. So he's like,
but he also made it very clear that what happened in the last year. Like, so I mean, linking it really back to this,
linking it back to this obvious, you know, adultery.
You come into
thing.
work hungover 6 times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you come into work 6 times, hungover, blah 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 blah. Which actually we get kind of a nod to that a little bit later on when he meets his helmsman.
but he also says is that, you know, coming out of the academy or whatever you want to call it back, he was like a brilliant student. They thought he was going to excel. He was going to have a, you know, heavy cruiser or something by the time he was 40, and he basically this marriage problem really derailed him.
Yeah.
But he only a little bit. Like, it was not like he was a captain when like this whole thing with his marriage broke down. So clearly he hadn't quite achieved what, you know, maybe they had projected for him as a cadet or.
Well,
whatever.
he was such a attempted overachiever that he really screwed up all the time. Is kind of the gist I got from it.
Okay.
And that's why he didn't.
I guess so. I mean, when you later on when Kelly's confronting him about, you know, the marriage and, you know, he was over, you know, workaholic, etc. So I'm not sure.
Yeah,
But
who knows? We get into that in later episodes, but
my favorite line in this scene is like, you know what? You're nobody's first choice for this, but on the other hand, we have 3,000 ships to man and we need captains. So you know,
exactly.
Do it.
Like nothing gets your hopes up as
Yeah, nothing gives you confidence. Like, oh man, we just need somebody to fill the shit. You know, warm body.
They're already outperforming Starfleet because they only have like 6 ships or something like that. Because
they only ever have 2 that are available.
2 are available, or the only one in the
The
quadrant.
rest are parking somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We never.
It must be easy to become a captain with all those ships, right?
It seems like it doesn't seem to be
Obviously,
that hard
he isn't even the first choice, and he still gets it.
with the number of planets that are in this planetary union, which seems like it's as much as the Federation. Just
Yeah.
a question here from Norman. You know, curious to what Dave thinks about all the uniforms in this series.
Oh, that's a good question.
And I will tell you, I like these uniforms a lot. I like
Really?
that they're not. I think that the neckline is probably my least favorite aspect of it. Just the way, you know, it kind of zips up in the front, and I don't know.
You like the bars though?
The bars are fine.
Okay.
on the epaulets or whatever.
Because
And
he ends up getting 4 later, but he's
you
got
know,
3 in
I
this
like
one.
that it's got like an under, like when you take it off, it's got like this undershirt thing, and it seems very functional. And apparently Seth went through a whole bunch of different designs before settling on this one. If you go to the other shot of the Admiral, I like that the Admiralty has like their own color,
And he's also got the gold bar around.
he's got
his,
the gold epaulets and
And it's
everything
purple,
else.
the color of kings.
Yeah, I like that he did a couple more division colors than Star Trek does, because Star Trek, traditionally only has the red, yellow, blue. And I like that security and engineering are obviously different, and science and medical are green, and blue. Command is blue, I guess, until you get to the Admiralty, right? So
yeah,
yeah,
because the Admiralty is purple. Or unless he's like, maybe that's like in bin or something.
Yeah, so mostly I like them, although I think there's something with the neck I would change. I don't know what. I don't know how. Like maybe it's just the.
It kind of looks like everything is really comfortable except for the neck.
Yeah.
Like the neck looks like it's just too much pressure on you or something.
Well, yeah, but you got to look cool too. I mean, you give up a little comfort to look super cool.
Obviously.
Right. And it's got to be functional. I get it. So like,
out of 10, Dave, what are you calling this?
I give it an 8.
An 8.
Pretty good.
That's solid. All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I put it like almost A tier.
Yeah, you're right. That neckline
B+
is weird.
Yeah.
It's almost
on some
like
of
it's
them
too high.
It's just the way it kind of like, and the zipper and some, I don't know. So I would probably have designed it like, the old TNG style where you probably put it on from the front and it zips up in the back or something like that.
So he decides he's going to go see, he has a perfect idea for a helmsman, which happens to be one of his long-term friends. So he goes to this, I guess it's not a holodeck.
It's a simulator
I think it's environmental simulator, they call it.
Right.
But before he basically says to the Admiral, I've got a great helmsman. And then the Admiral gives him every reason why he shouldn't.
Yeah.
You mean Malloy, Lieutenant Malloy? Oh. Yeah.
And he just kind of grumbles about Malloy as well. You kind of get the idea that both of them are kind of the same when it comes to positions. Like they both kind of act the same way. So maybe they.
Scott Grimes, also from Star Trek. He played a couple somebody on Next Generation. We'll have to point him out when we get to that episode.
Really?
Yeah, he's in. He plays a kid on an episode of TNG.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Oh, yeah. Cool. So anyway, he enters this environmental simulator, and he sees this fight in Shogun armor, and he's fighting some sort of troll.
It was like an orc and samurai combination or something.
Yeah.
With a super cool personality.
Yeah. Hey, I'm Justin. Nice to meet you.
Yeah. It's Justin the orc. Yeah.
I loved that.
But anyway, he basically says to Malloy, hey, I got a ship. We're going, right? And he's like, what? He gets all excited. He's all happy. And then they basically have a quick discussion about that. And he talks to Justin, and Justin is just a super nice troll that's going to be beheaded in a second.
What I like about the jokes in this show is that like they make sense within the world that they're setting it in. Like you when you understand who Malloy is, you understand that he probably would create a holodeck, or an environmental simulator guy like this. That it's not just done for the gag. For the gag's sake, it's done because it would make sense, or that whole like little bit about him going pee later on when he's trying to talk to Kelly. Like those all it feels real. It feels like this is like not forced.
And all of that is in service to character development. It's not just a gag for gag's sake.
Right.
Yeah.
It's all.
It shows us that he is a little bit athletic. He practices fighting and stuff like that as well. And we do see that later on in the series. Like Malloy, even though he doesn't go out a lot, you see Malloy actually like fight and stuff like that. So it's quite neat to see that and how they kind of do. And
it's a bit of a departure from like how Seth MacFarlane normally does his humor. Like if you look at all his other things,
it's definitely like, different humor. Yeah,
like Family Guy, Ted, whatever. He's just hitting you with joke after joke after joke. Yeah, it doesn't have to make sense.
And some of these jokes are very subtle too. Like they're not like in your face. They're just part of the scene, which is kind of nice as well. So, yeah. So anyway, he basically says, "Yeah, we got a ship. Let's go." And he's like, "Ah, sweet. All right, great." He's very excited about that, and he's like, he goes to finish it. Oh, I missed it. But basically, he slices the head off of Justin. And then the "you win" thing comes up.
You win.
That's
Hang
totally
on.
fine. Justin would be totally fine with that. He's super cool.
Yeah, Justin's super cool, man. Don't worry about it. So anyway, here we are going towards space dock, or whatever they call it. I can't remember what they called it. But space dock is fine.
Looks
I guess.
cool.
It's different design wise. I guess it
like
makes more
the-
sense than like the Utopia shipyards where you literally can build one ship.
Well, this is
so
just a dock, right? So
it's a
more-
dock, but you also see them later on. They're repairing things there as well. So
Sure.
it's pretty cool that way. But then we get to see Malloy. Now I think when I looked through this, we didn't get the one part of the scene, which is it was just after this. So Malloy is actually drinking beer.
He's nervous.
Yeah, he's nervous. He wants to make a good first impression when he gets there.
9:30 in the morning.
9:30 in the morning. Yep. So, which I guess really, is it really morning? We're in space.
There's got to be a clock somewhere. There's got to be.
It's
Oh,
5 o'clock somewhere or something.
Yeah, exactly. In some planet. But anyway, he's like, this isn't good, blah, blah, blah. So he's like, oh, I'll show you. And he starts it. Basically, Mercer's like, you shouldn't be drinking, blah, 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 fly right kind of thing. And then all of a sudden, he's whipping around. Yeah, here he goes. He starts whipping around like all these different ships and stuff like that. And then he damn near gets killed by this big freighter thing.
Like, I kind of wish that the crew took him a little bit more seriously as a captain. It seems, like including
At the beginning,
Malloy.
they definitely don't take him as seriously. I almost get the impression that the previous captain was kind of like a very easygoing dude who just didn't like really follow the rules that much. And then you have some people who are like, diehard, like Bortus, for instance, he diehard rule.
Yeah, Bortus does, but like, I guess because Malloy's his best friend or whatever. And
Yeah, he has this camaraderie with him.
I don't want Malloy to take him super seriously when they're just flying to the ship. Like, this was I like this. This is just people doing their job in space. That's what I like.
Yeah,
it's
not a fancy thing.
And
it's
same with Kelly, because she's his ex-wife and she has this familiarity with him as well. But he is the boss. He is the commanding officer.
He is the guy. Yeah.
But whatever.
So anyway, they end up coming over the space dock and they see the Orville for the first time. Mercer's super happy to see it. He's very interested in it.
So guys, what do you think of the Orville? Like first time you saw it?
Okay, go ahead, Dave.
I like it. It takes some getting used to because it reminds me a little bit of Voyager in its design. It's got like that arrowhead shape,
front for sure, yeah.
And you have to get used to like the quantum drive in this universe or the warp drive that we're used to in Star Trek, which kind of works almost the exact same. It's just kind of designed. They design like the nacelles or whatever you want to call them differently. But overall, I think it's functional. I like it. It looks good. Overall, I think this planetary union ships all feel practical, which I like about them. So
I like it. It looks to me like it came out of the ocean though. Like
it does almost like Sequest. Remember Sequest? Yeah.
But I like it. I think it's a nice ship. Still a ship.
I like it too. I really like the interior though. I think that it feels more.
The interior, I think, is really well done.
Yeah. I like that they got that staircase up to the bridge, and we'll talk about the interiors. But yeah, like overall, like there's nothing wrong with it, but I don't think it's as iconic looking as like the Enterprise.
Like I think if you just put a picture of that on a shirt, people aren't going to buy much of it, right? Like diehard fans would, but it just doesn't scream. It, and actually, Norman says it in here actually, which is a good comment. I liked it, but I had to get more used to it with Disco by comparison. It seems TNG enough though, which is true. I think that's what he was going for. I think he was going for, make it different than Star Trek, but, make it familiar as well.
Well, I think he has to also worry about copyright and not being sued. So
I'm sure. I'm sure there's, there's something there that they could certainly do from it, but I think it doesn't. Yeah, that's actually, that's kind of what I was about to say. It kind of gets rid of the whole saucer idea, which go ahead.
That shot you have there, even though, it kind of does look like the bridge of a Constitution class right there. Like to the left, I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
I think, that's supposed to be a bigger ship, right?
Yeah. I think that's either a bigger ship or it's part of the space dock.
Floating nacelles. Well, not till the 32nd century. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So anyway, they come in. They decide they're going to go dock, obviously. So here they go, coming into the dock.
Oh, don't forget how Malloy almost crashed the shuttle, showing off and saying, "Well, I got a beer. I will never fly." And then he nearly gets them.
Yeah,
killed.
yeah. I already said that. They almost hit the freighter that was
Yeah.
going by. Yeah, he basically bounced off it. Unfortunately, the screenshots are rushed this week, so we'll try to get better ones next week. All my fault, really. Anyway, so now we're at a general assembly of all the crew. Obviously this is Mercer introducing himself, to everybody, hi, how you doing? I'm the new guy, that kind of thing. And basically, he does a little speech about how, he wants it to be an effective and, efficient ship and, your usual captain's, thing that you say when you start off with a crew, right? I think we've heard that 1,000 times in different shows and stuff.
It wasn't quite Picard's speech, but yeah,
it's not a Picard speech by any stretch. So basically he says, after this, let's everybody.
Can you go back to that wide shot too? So more on uniforms. That like utility gray suit you see on like the far right there. I don't think we ever see that beyond the pilot again. Like,
I think actually part of that is the scientist stuff, because when you see in some of the later episodes, you see scientists in it.
In that
or at
gray,
least like lab guys.
Because
Yeah.
the green is the science division.
Well, green is the absolute science division for sure.
And
So I don't
medical.
know, maybe they're helpers or maybe they're like.
I got the impression that they were enlisted people or something, but you don't really. I don't remember seeing that uniform. After
Maybe they're
this,
like the janitors or maintenance or something.
That's kind of what I assumed.
Mm-hmm.
Like not the non-officers, the non-commissioned.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeoman.
Yeoman. There you go.
Right.
Not as hot as the yeoman we know. All right. Anyway, so yeah, he basically dismisses everybody but the senior staff. So the first person he talks to is
Aaliyah.
That's not right, is it? Aaliyah?
Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe I should have that in my notes.
What are these? Who are these characters?
This character here.
Hold on. Let's just get this right.
All right, you go ahead.
Halston, Lieutenant Alara Katan,
Alara. That's it. Alara.
as played by Halston Sage.
Yes, and she looks totally different in real life. Like they do a really good job of makeup. Like her
She's
forehead
blonde.
isn't that big, and she's a blonde and everything. Yeah, so it's quite impressive. But basically, we find out that she's from a race that has a extreme amount of strength. So based on where they are, so with Earth's gravity, they have an amazing amount of strength. She can also jump very high as well, which we see later in the episode.
She comes from a high density, high gravity planet.
High gravity environment.
So-
yeah.
She also comes from a species that doesn't normally join the military or like the planetary union. So she's been fast tracked.
Yeah. Because I think that she mentioned she's 23 or 22, somewhere around there.
23.
23.
Young for senior officer.
Yeah, and she's basically a senior security officer, which is probably fairly unheard of in this environment normally for that range, because everybody is a little bit older in this show than like she's literally the youngest person on the crew, for the most part.
Other than the doctor's kids, maybe. Yeah.
Well, doctor's kids, yeah, but I don't call them crew really. But anyway, so we have her. So basically, Malloy is very interested in the fact that she's awesome. Because Malloy is just one of those guys. I think he already looks hungover, quite honestly.
I think that's part of the look. Yeah.
Yeah. And he was like, oh, that's amazing, blah, blah, blah. And he was, you're the first one to, ever serve on a Union ship. And she's like, yeah, it's because.
No, she's not the first.
Not the first? Oh,
no, but there's only a few of them because she'll be replaced.
She gets replaced in the second
She
season.
said Salayans so rarely join that that they get fast tracked when they do join.
You're right.
But there's not a lot of them.
Yes.
Yeah. So then he moves on. He moves on to what's his last name?
Well, this is Lieutenant Lamar. John Lamar.
John Lamar. That's it.
Played by Jay Lee, who I think was like the receptionist at Seth MacFarlane's office or something, and he got this job.
Oh, really? That's
yeah.
Maybe we'll see that in Fun Facts. But yeah, no, and it basically his entire conversation, he's not interested in anything other than he wants to make sure that he can drink his refreshments while he's working.
Well, the whole thing about his character is, at least in this first season, I won't try to spoil too much about it, but he's he's a brilliant guy, and that's kind of alluded to in this first conversation. Like, you're a level 10 pilot, but all Lamar really cares about is like, hey, can I have soda?
I really get the gist that this is supposed to be kind of a homage to Jordy, because literally he gets promoted into that position later on.
He becomes the engineer later, but
that's the engineer, yeah.
Right.
But he's he's way smarter than people think he is and stuff like that.
But I don't think Jordy came in with this kind of attitude.
No. Jordy was a lot more formal.
Jordy's always been a tryhard.
He's been a tryhard, especially with the ladies. But anyway, so he's concerned. He wants to make sure he can drink his soda while he's on duty. To which Mercer responds, "Yeah, you can do that as long as you bring it."
See, and I like that. That's what you would ask at your job. Like,
true.
Am I allowed to have drinks on?
So my last boss was cool about this. Are you going to be cool about this or no?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, there you go. Actually, Norman just answered that question. Gray as civilians.
Okay. Maybe that's why I'm not remembering it, because I don't know what another civilian character on the show has been.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, every time I click on that, I end up having to screw up my thing. So then we get on to Bortus. Bortus is a very interesting character. He basically finds out that he's from a race that is only one sex, which is male. We later on find out about their birthing systems, but that's in another episode. Possibly.
Bortus is he's like the straight man. He's the Worf kind of character on the show, but different. Also the second officer of the ship. I love that there's a dedicated second officer too in this universe, instead of just being the next department head. So that there's when the captain, the first officer go on a mission, there's sort of a
Bortus is the next one in, and then after that it's the security chief. So
no, it's Lamar after that.
Is it Lamar?
Yeah.
After he gets promoted.
After he gets promoted,
yeah. Because the next episode it wasn't him. But so basically we find out that, and then he also finds out that he only urinates once a year, which is another fun fact about Bortus's race.
It's also a fun fact that Seth MacFarlane does it 2 or 3 times a night.
At least 2 or 3 times a night.
That is unfortunate.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate.
Everything that Bortus says in this show is gold. I love almost all gold.
I love that exchange, because he says that is unfortunate, and he just the way Seth MacFarlane.
And then Seth MacFarlane's like,
it really is.
Yeah,
he really.
He puts his head down and everything.
Yeah, his delivery is his deadpan is so good.
His deadpan is really good. Yeah, for sure. But basically, he's goofing around with Bortus about the urine thing, and then he's like, and then at the end he's like, oh, kind of thing. So, but I thought it was pretty funny. And then we get on to the medical officer.
I think I've seen her before.
Yeah, she looks
somewhere.
familiar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've seen her.
It's
before.
almost like she was in another show that we've reviewed before.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's Cassidy. That's right. She's now in the Union. She's
Penny Johnson.
Penny Johnson. Yes, she's a great actress, actually. She's a lot of fun in the show too. She's they give her a very dominant attitude, but they also make her very likable, which I think.
And they give her. She has a lot of story. Like
she does.
She becomes a main character, a really a main character, and
not like a side note like
she's
Crusher.
Awesome.
Yeah, she's not like a side note like Crusher or some of the other people. But
she was also in oh my gosh, 24 for season 1.
Yes, yeah, she was in.
She was like married to the president in that, wasn't she, or something?
Yeah,
first lady, I guess.
She was the first lady.
But on uniforms, I love hers because it doesn't have that weird, stupid neck thing going on. Because she has like the open coat, and she has the undershirt,
doctor's smock. Basically,
it looks good. Looks good.
Yep. Yeah, it does.
And the emblems. Are you okay with the emblems, Dave? Where they have them kind of separate, like the original Star Trek series?
I like the emblems. Yeah, they're good. I like this. I like this variant of the uniform the most. Basically.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But I'm very Dr. Crusher-esque with the coat.
Yes.
Yeah. And basically, he makes a joke. It was something to do with balls. I can't remember exactly what it was.
Oh yeah, and then he said she's overqualified to be here. And
yes, that's right.
I'm
which
here to
he's-
help you along. You seem like you need somebody who, you know.
Yeah.
is
And then
trying-
he kind of
Yeah.
takes offense to that in a way. He's like, "What? You mean I don't have the balls?" And she's like, "I'm your doctor. I'll know if your balls are big enough." Basically.
Yeah.
Which in reality, that's true. So there you go. But anyway, I like their chemistry because he respects her. He probably respects her more than anybody else in the ship, I think. Because she really does, especially in the later seasons, she definitely takes precedence over like thought, the decisions that he makes and stuff like that, along with Kelly. So I think it's quite interesting that he kind of has two female advisors most of the time, which is interesting, I thought. But anyway, yeah, so that's basically it. We go through that, and then he moves on to, we got a lot going on. This is where she says balls, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
And then he's like, ooh. He's like, yeah, okay, let's move on. Then we get to Isaac. Isaac being the robotic, he's from a robotic race.
The Kalon.
The
Kalon.
Kalon, that's it, which they will be more prominent later on in the series. But he basically is, I guess he's the first. I think he's the first Kalon, right?
He's the only
The
one.
only
Yeah.
one.
He's the only one,
Yeah.
and he's the first
He's-
one. Yeah.
I heard your species is racist, known for their racism against
Yeah.
organics. He's like, yeah, we think you're inferior, but I'm here to study you, and I'm the best officer you'll ever have.
No, I love he says we believe that all other biological life forms are inferior, and he goes, oh, thanks. He goes, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Between Isaac and Bortus, there's always tons of like very stoic delivery that actually works out really well. I think.
Yeah, like he's like the Data of this show. Although, I often feel bad for Mark Jackson, who plays this character, because he's behind this like faceless, emotionless kind of mask.
He is for a while, yeah, and then later on they bring him in.
Yeah, like in the holodeck, and we get a couple scenes later on. But
Yeah,
but
where he's
yeah,
in a
like
human form, yeah.
most of the time he has a pretty hard job because he can only kind of act, sort of with his body and
I think he
body
does a
language.
great job. He's
He
always
does.
consistent. Like throughout the show, Isaac always acts the exact same way. He walks the exact same way.
He does a lot with like his head movements. It takes a lot of skill as an actor to pull off what he does.
Yeah.
But and I'm sure they went through different design concepts for him, but this
I'm sure. Yeah.
is cool.
Yeah. No, I think overall, and later on they mentioned that his eyes aren't functional. Like he doesn't use them. So like literally they can block them and he's still fine.
But like he's the only one with the blue eyes, and all the other Kalons are like bad, who have like orange or red
they
eyes
have
or whatever.
red eyes, yeah. So well, that's how you know whether they're good or bad, Dave.
Right.
Like, come
That's
on, you got to have that. It's got to be a gauge. But I also like how he always stands in like these weird, awkward, like action poses. A lot, like he's never like looking relaxed. He's always like got like his arms up or something. So
Well, it does look like a guy in a suit, but that's what it is.
I'm almost thinking he wanted him to do that, though. I think he wanted that. I think he wanted the cheesiness of it, which it's kind of cheesy, I think, but I think it's good. I think it works well. So, but basically, he's like, "Yeah, okay, that's great. Well, everybody, let's get moving here."
I wish he wore a uniform, for the record.
Yeah, well, yeah, a uniform would make more sense, I guess, or at least something that would represent the uniform.
I think it would look silly in the show.
It probably would look
maybe
silly,
the
yeah.
emblem. Put the emblem on him.
Maybe the emblem.
Maybe,
yeah, that might be all right. But maybe there's something that says he can't or something. So anyway, we get to Grimes there, which
Malloy and Lamar have like a conversation. In this
yeah,
next
and he's
one.
basically like, oh, you're here to scope me out, are you? And he's like, yeah, and he's like, well, I'm a total jerk, and he's like, oh, good, I'm a jerk too. We're gonna be best friends, basically.
yeah, let's be best friends, and they do kind of become best friends, right?
They play off of each other a lot in the show, which is great. I think the fact that they established it right away was great. Like it wasn't like they literally kind of got along right from the beginning, which is kind of cool.
These two
because they're going to be sitting together for a while.
Yeah.
So
these two are the least serious of the senior officers, I guess.
yeah,
Like,
these two are definitely the two that aren't following the book.
There's a line later when I guess we're not going to get off at 5.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess we're not getting up.
I guess we're not finishing it by 5 today. They're all about to die.
Yeah, everybody's going to die, and he's like, oh, geez. Yeah. So
We're
anyway,
not getting out of here by
little-
5.
We need to speed this up a bit, but yeah, no, it's basically, now we have a conversation with the Admiral, which I think we're on space dock right now. I don't think we're actually on the Orville, are we?
We're on the
Oh, maybe
Orville, but
we
it's
are
still
there.
it's still in dock.
It's still in dock, yeah. So anyway, the admiral's like, yeah, we don't have a CO for you. One's going to become available soon, and once they
XO.
are, an XO. Sorry, I always say CO. I don't know why. But basically XO, and he's like, great, well, good luck, kind of thing. It's your ship now. Enjoy it. And then we get the walk up to the bridge, because this is the first time we get to see the bridge in the show, which is always an interesting
There's
thing.
a staircase.
I
How
love
different
that
is
staircase. I really do. I don't know why I like it, but I like it.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's like an
I
old
don't think it's the most
747.
practical thing in the world, but
It's a little bit like the spiral staircases they have on Deep Space Nine. The
yes,
promenade.
yeah, actually, very much so. Yeah.
Yeah, but the
which-
promenade stays still. Like, it's a station versus.
Well, but the station's always moving technically.
Yeah, the
around
station's
source.
always moving as well.
Just
so.
slowly.
Plus, they can also move it as well if they want to. So, but anyway, so here we go. We get the open doors. We get the first look of the bridge. What do we think of the bridge, guys?
Love it.
You know
I
what my
like
favorite.
this bridge.
You know what my favorite feature of this bridge is? The red alert system. It's not just all lights everywhere. It actually spins and strobes around where the blue is in that scene. It actually strobes around, almost like a siren. I like that, and I don't know why.
I like it reminds me a lot of the Voyager bridge with the captain and the first officer side by side, like that. I really some people don't like that, and they feel like it should always be the captain chair in the middle by itself. But I really like this design.
That's a very
Yes,
good observation, Norman.
Very well lit. Very well lit. You can see everybody.
You don't need night vision goggles to do
We
your
don't need
job.
like dark reflections and brooding, all this kind of stuff. No, it looks great.
But we get a cool little shot of them about to head out. And obviously he's giving the orders for Malloy to leave. Basically take us out. Actually, it might not be Malloy. It might be
It's Malloy. Yeah, Malloy flies that out of here.
Oh, does he fly it out? Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Malloy's the pilot.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, there we go.
So interesting choice of seats, though. Like I would have expected the captain to sit on the left side, looking at this shot. But
That's the same way that they did it on Voyager, with the captain was always on. Yeah, because you think you want your first officer to be your right hand, but they do it this way.
Yeah.
Why? Why would you care if they're on?
I-
the
Well,
right
just
hand?
because your first officer is your right hand person.
Oh, just because of the saying, not for any.
Yeah, just
practical
because of the
reason.
saying.
Okay,
That's the only reason.
well, and Riker was always on the right. Riker was on the right.
But they had 3 chairs there, and
Well, there was
this-
always
yeah.
the middle chair, and then there was the 2 other
But
chairs.
but Janeway and Chakotay had the same setup, like as this.
Yeah,
yeah.
pretty much, yeah. So, but we get some nice external shots of it leaving the dock.
But
it
not
looks-
too much. Not too much, Jody.
They don't give you a lot. Yeah, they didn't give you a 5-minute pan around like they did in the motion picture of Star Trek. So there's Alara, and and he's got his
Marley
cup
slowed up.
already.
So you don't spill it. He's got a tumbler.
He's
He'll
got a
be good.
tumbler. He might have been the one that started this Stanley phenomenon of the cups that all the middle-aged soccer moms drink out of now. Anyway, so we see it taking off from the dock, and we do get a little bit of a glory shot, but I wouldn't say it was insane. Like it was like less than 20 seconds, I think, for the whole scene. But we get some nice shots of it just to kind of see it. I do like the fact that they showed us the clear view here. I thought
But
that
Jody, you're
What?
always critical in Star Trek about how the bridge is on the top of the ship,
it's still the stupidest place to put it.
and so so you would have to.
I still have that criticism. Yes.
Okay.
It's still stupid, but it is what it is, I guess. But I do like the clear shot here. I like the fact that we can see Malloy and Lamar in that scene, which I think is kind of cool. And we also get this big, huge hatch thing here, which we don't know what that's for, but I'm assuming.
But
it's for
you
something.
get a sense of scale here too, right?
You do get a sense of scale, yeah. So it's not a huge ship, but it's big.
Yeah, it's like Voyager size. I feel.
Yeah,
like,
the
maybe a
rings,
little
the
bit.
back rings, I definitely am not that much of a fan of, but I kind of they grow on me after. But we get to see a nice little back end view of it, which is pretty cool. The fact that it only has one shuttle bay is kind of weird, but what can you do there? What happens when that shuttle bay breaks? What are you going to do then? Nothing. Anyway, and now we see all the crew on the deck, of course. And Mercer's like, "Well, let's fly this out." And
There's
they're
no
gone.
like engage or anything like that. It's just like engage quantum drive. Or I guess he does say engage. But
He does say engage a lot, and I'm pretty sure that's obviously an homage. But he says engage a ton in this show. Actually, I purposely tried to count it just to see if I could see how many, and there's a lot. Throughout the whole show, he says a lot. So, but basically, they're at this point, is this when they find out that the CO is available?
Well, yeah, they're on this 19-hour trip to the planet, and then along the way,
they're on this planet to do a supply run, or at
right.
least they think it's a supply run.
Routine supply run.
Routine supply run. They're like, okay, great, blah blah blah. And
then they get the call from the admiral.
They get the call from the admiral that says an XO has become available. And he's like, oh, great. Who?
It comes
and
to his private
like,
viewer.
She's like, the admiral wants it to be private, so we'll send it to your console. He looks at the console and he's just like, ah! He just,
No.
And he runs off.
But imagine being somebody who works on this ship, and this is a brand new captain, and he literally runs out like a little kid going, no, and he literally runs out. Like, what's that impression you get, you know? And Malloy's just like, oh god, something's bad. And he's like running, he jumps down through the thing there, and he's like,
he runs through
I totally missed it.
Yeah.
He runs through the goo, which is Norm Macdonald's character.
He gets one line in this episode.
What's his name?
Yaphet,
that's it. And anyway, he gets the communication, and he's like, you can't do this to me, you know, blah blah blah. You know, he's like, Kelly's the most qualified. It's the only one we have right now, and she requested it. You know, so obviously she's trying to.
This is a rough go for your ex-wife to be made your first.
Not only that, but this is like your maiden voyage, and now it's like, oh geez, now I gotta fucking take my
also
ex-wife
to find out that she requested it.
Yeah, which means like you're like in a world of hurt, basically.
Yeah, and he's like, well, hey, you're already on shaky ground, Ed, and if you make a stink here, it's not gonna look good. I'm like,
so you're just gonna have to accept her and move on. He's like, oh no. That one pretty much that emphasizes the whole point, really.
Yeah, when does the crew find out? Is it after this scene?
Well, he's yelling in his quarters, which is just
below.
I guess it's below and down a little bit, but they can still hear him in there because they have a fight later on with Kelly, and he can see, and they can hear everything. We got a nice,
which I love. I love that they do that. The shot out to them, listening to them fighting.
Yeah. It's like, you know, the kids listening to their parents fight.
Well, and Scott Grimes is like, he's also saying, oh, she is a bitch, and you know, telling everybody
bitch.
Well, that was hilarious because they got married in real life.
Yeah, the two of them were actually married.
but they split up, like, apparently pretty fast afterwards. So I don't think it was too amicable. But so I couldn't help but think about that.
I did love this shot though. You literally see him like scraping his nails and like tapping away and stuff. I just thought that was kind of cool. But look at how like uptight he is at this point, right? Like he's just so human. This is where they have the conversation.
Not his ready room. Not his ready room. He'll be in his office.
Right, but everyone in the bridge gossiping about it. I loved that scene.
Yeah,
like,
the fact that they're even gossiping, and like even like Isaac is like paying attention to it, and
Board is perhaps we should be talking about this.
Yeah, Lamar
seems
inappropriate.
This.
Yeah.
Oh no, we're talking about this.
We should not be talking about this. And he's like, oh no, we talking about this.
that. All this was really good. I like, you know,
they did a good job. So anyway, this is where basically the doorbell goes off. We see a homage to the Wright brothers there.
You see the Kermit the Frog figurine?
Yeah, there is a Kermit the Frog thing. So here's Kelly. She enters. He's like, basically he's super cold to her, obviously. And he's like, great, blah, blah, blah. You know, he's really mad. Like you can tell he's mad, but he's also like just kind of like trying not to even look at her. And then he's like, oh, so you're here to fuck with me some more, basically. Like that's literally what he says, for the most part. But he's not a happy camper about this arrangement, but you know, he also can't ruffle the feathers anymore because he's already been given the gift, I guess, and he doesn't want to lose it quickly. So he's like, yeah, well, I guess we're putting up with her, you know, let's just do that. She basically says, you know, after this assignment, I will ask for a transfer right away. when somebody becomes available, and I'll be out of your hair kind of thing.
Right. And
But in a
whole
way,
thing
I
about
think this
her-
is a way for her to redeem herself, or at least see him again.
atone. She says she's trying to atone for, she feels bad for how things ended between them, and this is her way of trying to make it up to him.
Yeah, and she knows she was in the wrong and all this, and she gets it, but she goes, you obviously, you just neglected me. Like I was, you were never around. You're always, working and blah blah blah. So
Rob Lowe was there.
And Rob Lowe was there, and let's be honest, you're not going to find too many women that are going to say no to Rob Lowe.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Even if he's blue.
Even if he's blue, they probably still take him. So, but anyway, so basically that's this conversation. There's not a lot to say other than that.
They're all talking. They can hear it through the argument.
Yeah, all this information is being kind of portrayed, and they can hear it.
What I love about them, and I was worried about having the ex-wife be the XO.
Well, you would think that, you would think it'd be a dynamic that's weird, yeah.
Yeah, but what I like about it is it's not like epic. He's petty all the time about it. She's a little petty about it, and they bicker about
they bicker for the first couple
episodes.
Yeah, first couple episodes at least. Yeah,
I like that. I like that it's not like a huge thing. It's just them jabbing at each other.
Every often they jab each other, and then they move on.
Because that's what you would get in real life.
Yeah, because like later on, there's a scene with the device that moves time forward in the bubble. And he's like, oh, well, can you go back in time? Like, do things like, undo an injury or something like that. Or,
a marriage.
Or not marry your wife. And she just looks at him like,
I've had a similar, wish myself, not with my current wife, but my ex. So, anyway.
We all have relationships we might want to,
Wish we could,
rewind.
yeah, right.
But anyway. But yeah, and this is them all listening to it, and the best thing about this scene is you can hear the dialogue from the two, and everybody's just kind of sitting still listening, but they're all like kind of like moving around looking at each other and stuff. It's just so great. And then he's like, well, we just need to get along with this, blah blah blah. She's like, fine, I'll make sure I transfer after, blah blah blah. So anyway, they make their way. She ends up running into Malloy. And Malloy is somebody who knows her very well because obviously he was friends with Mercer for years. And
and again, these two got married in real life, and I couldn't help but think about that the whole time I'm watching this scene.
The two of them are actually married. Yeah. Well, they were probably at this point, I think. But
no, they get married to after season 2, I think.
Did they? Okay, I didn't know that. I thought it was before that.
But I like here when he's like, I was just talking about you up there, telling everybody how great you are.
Amazing. Yeah. And literally he's calling her
a pump for you.
And she buys it completely.
She does. No way she does. She knows.
No, she's not buying into it.
She knows who Malloy is. She knows what he's about.
She's like, yeah, okay, whatever. Because when he leaves to go to the bathroom, the look on her face is just like, fuck off. Like,
exactly.
Yeah, whatever, you jerk. Right. But the two of them are, bringing up the appearance, when you're,
they pretend to be like, they have like sort of this tension between them, but it's like, but it's good. It's funny.
Yeah. So it's a good time. But anyway, he's like, he's like, oh, I'm just on my way to go to the bathroom, like, which is something you would never hear in Star Trek. Like, it was very rare, right? Like, nobody'd be like, oh,
never
on my way to the bathroom.
Only once, and it was Malcolm in his suit on the fucking pin to the outside of the ship.
Yep,
it's the only time.
This kind of reminds me of Babylon 5. Because in Babylon 5, the guy who played Garibaldi, Jerry Doyle, he was married to the one who played Talia Winters in real life, but then they split up, and then they were still on the show together. Do you guys know about that? Babylon 5?
I'll never know about it, Dave.
Doesn't matter. All right, anyway, so Dave's like, screw you and you're biased. But basically Malloy's like, he's like, oh yeah, no, I was greasing the wheels for you there. Everybody's all happy about it and shit. Like, even this screenshot kind of portrays exactly how she feels. So he's like, yeah, no, I'm not buying this. And he's like, I kind of have to go to the bathroom. Can I have permission to go to the bathroom? Would that be cool? That'd be great. She's like, yeah, okay, that's fine. And then he's like, just going this way, blah blah blah. So she's like, oh, like, even that, like, you're like, yeah, okay, yeah. So, and then she's like, well, we didn't get it in the screenshot, but basically, like, she kind of like turns her head fast and she's like, like that. And she just kind of rocks away. So anyway, they end up arriving at the environment that they're supposed to be delivering all these supplies to.
The scientific outpost, yeah.
The outpost.
It's Babu.
It's Babu.
Yes.
The
That
dog's
man
licking
has-
his balls in the background.
That dog's sitting there licking his balls.
That was
Also,
great.
And everybody's just like looking at it like,
So here's another, I think, Enterprise outreach there with, it's a beagle, so Captain Archer's dog.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, I didn't think about that, but it could be. Yeah, for sure.
Could be.
it's
Yeah.
also Papa Bashir.
It's also Papa Bashir.
Papa
Yeah, you're
Bashir
right.
as
I was
well,
like,
yeah.
it's Babu, but yeah, it's also.
And there's
yeah.
an awful lot of Star Trek alumni in this show as well. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of characters that
Well, yeah, and like there's Star Trek, even right, like Brandon Braga, and like some of the people who worked on Star Trek are on the crew and the
Yeah.
writing staff and everything.
So that's why it has the feels. It's got the feels with more humor, I guess. But yeah, so basically it explains, I can't really get into it, but we don't actually need supplies. Blah blah blah. Can maybe you can come down, kind of thing. We can talk. I don't really want to talk about this over this. And he's like, but you do know like it's illegal to like tell us to come here for supplies, and then like that's not true. So blah blah blah.
You can do
And-
time for that, she
yeah,
says.
you can do time. Yeah, you can do time for that. And he's like, oh, well, just come down, blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, okay, well, the two of them are on their way. And then they say something, but I can't remember what it was.
Bortus gets left in command.
Yeah, Bortus is in command. They get.
I can't
they
remember
leave.
what that comment was.
There
but-
was a little quip, but I think it had something to do with, maybe she's not such a bitch or something like that.
No, that's
Something like-
later.
Oh, no, that's
after
later in
they-
the
yeah.
episode. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, they land on this this very Star Trek-esque type science thing here.
very California-esque, I would say.
Very
too.
California-esque. Yeah, for sure. Most likely a real building. Yeah, so anyway, they get out of their ship. I do like the scale of their shuttle. It makes more sense because I always found that the shuttles in Star Trek, the scales were off. Like you would always feel like they were bigger inside than they were outside. They were almost like a TARDIS. It was
Mhm.
kind of weird, but I just find
I noticed he had to dip his head when he came out. Of
yeah,
it.
yeah. I
Yeah.
actually like that. I think that's a good thing. Like you got to make it to conform within. Like it has to have nacelles for what it does because they do have the ability of doing warp or whatever they call it.
Quantum drive.
Quantum drive, yes. So they do have a quantum drive, although not as far, but they do have a quantum drive in these things. So it's kind of cool. He ends up greeting the scientist. He kind of introduces all of his officers, and then there's another joke about wives or something like that here. I can't remember exactly what it was.
This is he introduces his ex-wife.
Oh,
and
his
says,
ex-wife. He doesn't say his XO. He goes, "This is my
Yeah.
ex-wife,
Yeah.
Kelly."
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, oh.
And then she's just like, "Fucking asshole."
Just petty. I that's what it's my
Everything's
favorite
petty.
part.
He's
everything's
just
just petty.
Petty
yeah.
and bitter and distracted, I guess, as well.
And he's like, "Well, let's go have a look in the lab, and we'll
But
show
he
you
doesn't.
something."
He's not forthcoming about why he won't tell them that they came. He's
Not
really,
yet. Yeah,
elusive about it.
Yeah, he's very elusive about it. They're walking through this science building, and the doctor's very excited about it. She's like, "This is really impressive." Blah blah blah. Kind of like almost like she's envious of being able to work there, I guess. And then we end up seeing this aquatic creature going through,
Lead botanist, you mean?
which turns out to be the lead botanist. Yeah, there he is. And that's actually the lead botanist of the center. But everybody's like thinking like it's like an experiment or something. But oh, bless you there, Adam.
Thank you.
Yeah. So anyway, they're looking through stuff. Here you go. Here's another guy, and then he introduced that these are redwood seeds
With tardigrade DNA.
with tardigrade DNA.
I
Yes.
love it.
Which
Uh,
this was interesting to me at the time that Discovery came out, because then they have tardigrades as well referenced in Discovery, and they were kind of both doing stuff with tardigrades, coincidentally, I guess.
Or maybe
anyway.
maybe it's an homage. I don't know. Who knows?
I guess it was a
Whatever.
recent scientific discovery, so maybe that's
Yeah,
why
I guess
it's in both
maybe.
shows. But
But I also like the alien makeup here. I think he looks great.
isn't there
Or
like a
she.
weird look with this alien at the end of the scene where he is it? I
Yes.
can't remember which character it is.
But
Maybe it's
but I think that's what's supposed to kind of make you think there's something sinister about to happen, because we find out later there's obviously an inside informant. So maybe he also is as well.
maybe.
Because he does give a really dirty look to somebody at the end. So basically, he explains that this is a seed that in 100 years, it basically can grow in anything. You could throw it in the desert in 100 years, you'd have a redwood. It can grow in rocks. It can grow in anything.
It's a tardigrade. It's a tardigrade.
It's tardigrade, exactly. So anyway, that's fairly impressive. They're all like, oh, great. And then he's also like, they taste great too. And he's like, eats a seed, which I thought was kind of funny. And then he moves on.
Yeah, it's Alara. Alara and that alien have a weird look at the end of the scene. I was like,
she looks at him and he looks back at her like, fuck off kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Maybe
she was just being.
So then anyway, they end up going into this room here. And obviously, if there's a table with a big thing on top of it, it's going to be for something. So anyway, so they introduce, I guess this is the lady who's in charge of this particular project. Can't remember her name. Probably don't care. And anyway, they basically just put a banana. They put a banana on here, which comes with one of the best lines in the whole thing, because the banana, basically they aged the banana. I think they said a month. Was it a month? Something like that.
Yeah. And I just love that he calls it an anti-banana ray.
Yeah, that's it. He goes, wow, an anti-banana ray. We mustn't fear the banana. and then Kelly's
we no longer
need
fear the banana.
Too? Yeah. And Kelly's like, does it work on fruit too?
Yeah, I feel like this was not as funny to me this time around, because this is always shown in the trailer, so I was just like, oh yeah,
trailers. Yeah, it's one of the funnier moments. Yeah, but I still got a chuckle out of it.
Oh, I laughed still.
I thought it was funny. Yeah.
I think it's actually one of the weaker jokes the show ever did. In some ways.
It is a weak joke, but I think to show the fact that Kelly, I think it is a weak joke, but I think that to show that Kelly and Mercer can still get along if they have a shared interest in something.
Well, it does give them that dynamic that they can play off each other, but they don't do it much after this. They never really have
they do later on in the series. But yeah, I think for the first season, not much. Yeah, I think you're right. But basically, yeah, he's like, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, I don't think you really get what this is. Like this, we created a bubble that literally time is sped up in. You can
grow crops in a blink of an eye, but you could also use it as a weapon against an army, etc.
Exactly. So with that, obviously, and then Alara says, well, you could also use this as a weapon. You could age an entire army in seconds. This could be a weapons issue as well. And this is why the Doctor is concerned. He goes, the Krill are the Krill, which is a race we learn about soon. The Krill basically are. We want to make sure they don't get it, kind of thing. And you get the impression that the Krill is kind of like the Klingons in the original Star Trek, like not a lot of communication between them, but that they are going to fight. So yeah, that's kind of what the Krill are.
It's an enemy.
It's an enemy. It's an enemy to the Union. So basically, yeah, so Alara's like, yeah, no, this could be a weapon. Like, this is brutal. Like, this is bad. And he's like, well, but think of all the good things it could do, blah, 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 which obviously that's always the case whenever we see something like this in one of these series. He's like, do you want to see what 100-year-old banana looks like? Which I had to admit, I liked that line because it's like, it's so unexpected. You're just like, no, why would anybody need to see a 100-year-old banana? Like, you already saw a 30-day one that's pretty much already dead. Like, there's not much more to do. And they kind of, he basically, he signals up to the ship, blah, blah, blah.
On his comm scanner.
On his comm scanner, yeah. So this is what's going on. And then, obviously, they're interrupted. They're interrupted by this chap with what appears to be a Glock painted white with a couple things attached to it. But it works, I guess. It's no Enterprise phaser for sure, but
yeah. Do we ever find out why this guy was helping the Krill or working for the Krill?
No. I don't think it really matters though. Like, we just know he's a double agent, and shots get fired and stuff. This scene where he pushes the Doctor into the thing, yeah. Hopefully it gets the old part. There it is.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
But only her head. I guess only her head got aged, and but this didn't look like a fun way to go.
No, that didn't look like a good way to go for sure. But she falls down, blah blah blah, and then Bortus is like, "What's going on there?"
Yeah.
He's like, "By the way, a Krill ship just showed up."
Yeah. Tell them the Krill come in peace right now.
But the one thing I did like about this is the Krill. I get a lot of Romulan vibes off the Krill. For obvious reasons.
Romulan, kind of Klingon, but its own thing too.
Yeah, its own thing for sure. But the fact that they show you the scope and the size, it's like, oh boy, that's a big ship. And that's actually one of the smaller versions of their ships. They have bigger ones that you see later on, which are like 5 times the size of that. But they're pretty cool ship, and it's a head-on exchange, which is kind of cool too. And they're like, oh yeah, great. There's a Krill ship here, blah blah blah.
They launched some fighters.
Yeah, they launched some fighters out of the things, and now they're in red alert. I'm hoping it gets a dock shot because I do like that. And Bortus is very serious about this, and they're like, and this is where Malloy goes, "Oh man, we're not gonna get off by 5." Like he's upset that he's gonna miss his dinner plans or whatever it is that he's doing.
His simulator time with Justin, probably.
Yeah, simulator time with Justin, maybe. Yeah, maybe he uses Justin in other ways as well. We don't know. But anyway, so this I don't even think he's named, is he?
They name him, but
they do, but we're never.
No one cares. Okay,
we're never gonna hear it again.
Dude that nobody cares about. Obviously has the doctor, at gunpoint, and he's kind of using her to kind of get what he wants.
Yeah, tell them that the Krill come in peace, and they want to have we're gonna have a pizza party or something.
Yeah, well, he goes up and he says there's going to be a pizza party.
Kelly grabs it and says there's going to be a pizza party.
Yeah, look at them.
Malloy and Lamar want to go. That was funny.
Yeah. Can we go?
Oh, Bortus, can we go?
Oh, come on, can we go? It's a pizza party. So anyway, they grab the device, and at this point they're fighting the Krill.
The Krill come down in these like battle suits, and there's kind of a reveal inside of the building. But yeah, like they do look cool, like in this introduction.
Yeah, they did a good job with the introduction, I think, for that. But anyway, we get some nice little side shots too. I really like that. And then we basically get Isaac assessing the situation, blah blah blah. Epsilon, that's the name of the place. But basically, yeah, here's where we're in the close quarters contact kind of thing. They're kind of in the lobby, and the Krill show up, and then we get to see their full faces, which they're
cool makeup.
Bunch. Yeah,
cool makeup. Yeah.
They're an ugly bunch, but they look good. I like how they got kind of. It really is like a very utilitarian type, suit that they have going on there, which is kind of cool. Not very flashy, but kind of also portrays strength, I guess, with the lines and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool. And I also like their chins. I don't think we've ever seen chins that have kind of like a spike like that out of flesh.
Kind of like the Jem'Hadar a little bit.
Well, Jem'Hadar a little bit, yeah, I guess, yeah, that would be a good reference, yeah. Now here's the phasers of the Union, which I think are kind of interesting. Not sure what to make of them.
The only thing that struck me in this fight that goes on throughout the battle is like all these Krill, they're all like in their battle suits, and they all have rifles, and all of the the Union officers here just have these little pistols, and they're running across these big spaces, and it feels a little bit like they should be outgunned a bit, I guess, but they seem to get.
But they're taking on them pretty good.
I don't know if you've ever heard of this.
It was a very long scene.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever heard of this show called Star Trek, but it's exactly the same in that show. The good guys always have better aim.
Yeah, well, they do.
True. Yeah, that's true. But you see them running through corridors and stuff like that. The Krill are on their tail, kind of thing. We get kind of a little bit of a look. They have kind of almost like a machine gun type situation here, like as an SMG type thing. And then now they're getting shot at by the ship. So with that, obviously they're trying to do maneuvers, and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do. And Malloy says, oh, well, let's thread the donkey or something like that.
Hug the donkey.
Hug the donkey. That's it.
Hug the donkey.
Which turns out to be basically just fly around the ship on stupid angles and not get shot, which is, I guess, not a bad theory.
To buy some time.
Buy some time, yeah. So he starts doing that. He starts flying around. Obviously they're zipping back and forth, and they're moving around. But it's going in and out. The thing I liked about this is that it took a lot of damage. Like, 2 of the 3 nacelles or whatever they call them, engines, I guess, were taken out during the battle and stuff like that, which I thought was kind of cool. Because a lot of times, like, when they introduce the ship, like look at the first episode of Next Gen. The ship didn't get any damage. There was nothing happened to it.
There's no space fight in the first episode.
Yeah, there's no space fight at all. So it's like, it's nice to have a space fight right out of the gate. But basically they're going into like this kind of this locked safe door thing, and he's like, and then here comes the repeating line that Mercer uses a lot, which is, Alara, open this jar of pickles for me, which I don't know totally why, but Yeah, open the jar of pickles. There you go. So anyway, we see more of a fight outside near the fountains and stuff like that. And the thing I like to see is the fact that the doctor is even shooting, which is something that later on in Next Gen happened, but at the beginning it didn't. But anyway, and then we see this amazing jump by Alara. Obviously this shows later on, obviously what we heard about earlier about the gravity thing. Like she can jump really good. Doctor running through the fountains along with the other people, which doesn't seem like the fastest way.
Again, I know they're the main characters, but they run across a fountain against a bunch of bad guys with rifles, and they don't get shot, not one of them, and they manage to shoot many of them who are stationary and in much better tactical position. I'm calling it. So
there's a good shot of them with the helmets.
Mercer gets shot though, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, he does.
Somebody does get shot. Yeah,
merely a flesh wound.
Oh, there you go. That's a pretty good look there. Those things are badass.
Because the krill are sensitive to light, right? Like the sun.
They are. Yeah, they're sensitive to light. Yeah. So with that, which we don't find out until later, but they are sensitive to light. Yeah. Those guns are crazy. It almost looks like something from Halo. Anyway, so they all get onto the shuttlecraft. They take
Buckle
off.
Up. You gotta put the seatbelts on.
You gotta put the seatbelts on, though, guys. That's always important. So anyway, they're talking about this device, blah blah blah, and she's trying to fix his wound to his shoulder because he got shot.
And I thought it was Kelly's getting him back by saying he just wants drugs. Just whining. He just wants drugs.
He's just whining.
He's like, drugs. No, I don't. But do you have drugs? I'm like,
do you have any drugs?
Is this the time you would want the drugs? I don't think this is the time I would want them.
So anyway, they're on their way back to the ship, and it turns out there is a krill there.
Stowaway.
He's a stowaway. Which I can't remember who played this, but he's definitely been in other things because I recognize the voice right away. So maybe we'll find that one out.
He wants the device, but then Ed gets him with the seatbelt maneuver.
Yeah, Ed's just like, we have one thing that he does it, and everybody's like, what? And he's like, seatbelts. And then he just jams on the brakes and he flies, which we apparently didn't get the shot of.
So does this mean like in the shuttles there's no inertial dampeners? Like your momentum will take you, but on like the Orville you wouldn't have that?
I guess, yeah.
So
I don't know.
I'm not sure if it's consistent.
Okay. It could also just be something they turn off as well, right? Like for that certain time. Oh, Dave's gone. Where did Dave go? All right, well anyway.
I kicked his cord now.
Oh. And there's Dave. He's back. Technicality. All right, there we go.
Inertial dampeners failed. Sorry.
Oh well, that'll happen. Anyway, so I do like the shuttle though. The shuttle is it's nice and it's simple.
Mm-hmm. It is simple,
crazy. Yeah. Maybe a little too simple actually, but it almost.
I kind of
like
wish they had motorcycle gaming chairs for the seats.
Yeah, the gaming chairs. I like that. Oh man. So anyway, they knocked out the krill by him hitting the windshield, basically, and then they're now trying to get onto the Orville, but the Orville is currently hugging the donkey, as they say.
But so their shields are dying, and so like, they have to lower the shields in order for or what do they call them, screens, I guess, in this universe, and
screens, instead of shields,
and they have to wait, but they have to take that down for the shuttle to dock, but it doesn't matter. So then Malloy has to do like this crazy maneuver to angle
within 12 seconds or something like that.
Yeah, to angle the shuttle bay at the trajectory of the shuttle. And Borden's like, you can do it. You hugged the donkey. You could do this.
If you could hug the donkey, you could do this. Yeah. He's very serious about everything. So, but I still think he's one of the funniest characters on the show. Yeah. See, there's the red light that spins around. I love that. That's cool. Anyway. So he does his little maneuver, blah, blah, blah. The shuttle manages to get in and obviously like kind of scrapes around and crashes, but doesn't really crash totally. So they must have some sort of thing that dampens it when it comes in. But we also see there's another shuttle in there too. So Bartis is like, all right, they're there. Now I can't remember what Malloy says here. Anybody got an idea?
No.
Oh, he asks. This is where he asks if he can wear shorts. He goes, I did that. Now can I wear shorts on the bridge?
That's what it was.
Can I wear shorts to work?
I already told you no.
Told you no.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, Bortis is like, oh yeah, all right. Well, everybody's here, blah, blah, blah. So then they join back up to the ship And Bortus is like, I'm sorry, I broke
I have
two
failed
of
you,
the,
Captain.
I failed you. I broke 2 of the nacelles, blah blah blah. And he's like, hell, if I was here, it wouldn't be any different.
I would have asked for drugs if I was here. So
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, he's like, oh, let's get moving here, blah blah blah. He's like, well, what are we gonna do? And then all of a sudden the Krill communicate to him. I also like this thing.
do you like this gag where he's like, no,
I like this gag, even though it's stupid. But I really like it because
I don't.
because you never see anybody on Star Trek on an off angle. Like they're always perfectly centered all the time.
This is kind of a tense situation for him to be like, can you please move over? Like, I don't know.
But it was a way to delay as well, right? So like he was also delaying time.
He is
right?
trying to stall. So
Yeah, he's trying to stall as much as possible. So anyway, he's like, yeah, I think you can take a couple steps over. This
A lot of dead space.
This dead space is just killing me here.
Just
It's all I can
throwing me
focus
off. I
on.
can't concentrate.
Yeah, I can't concentrate at all. So anyway, he's like, okay, blah blah blah. So he ends up running, and then I guess he says, basically, give me the device. You have so and so to comply. Blah blah blah. And she's like, well, maybe blah blah blah. And they got him on mute, but yet he can still see everything. But anyway, so he's in the middle now, which is good. And she's like, well, maybe we could, I got an idea. Blah blah blah. And
No, you missed the whole part where they talk. They talk to him about their marriage.
oh, that's right. Yes. Oh, I'm
They're
sorry. I
going
totally
on
forgot
and
about that.
on about, and he's like, marriage is work.
Marriage is work.
Oh, you have to sacrifice on both sides.
Yeah,
This was funny. That was funny.
That was
pretty
pretty
good.
That was better
Yeah.
than the screen joke for sure. But yes, totally. I totally forgot about that.
They totally distract this Krill guy with like,
Yeah.
It's funny. I wish they did that in Star Trek more.
Yeah. So basically, the two of them are bad mouthing each other for the most part. And then she gets an idea. She's like, "Well, why don't we just give him the device?" And Mercer's like,
Well, yeah, the Krill runs out of patience, right, with this whole discussion, and then eventually, they're like, why don't we send him the weapon? But then
and everybody's like, "Why are you giving him the weapon?"
with the
And then
redwood seed.
She's like, "You still got some of those seeds?" And Mercer's like, "Oh, I do have one in my pocket." I don't know how she would remember that, but I guess she did. But
It was
anyway,
only a few minutes ago.
it's a redwood seed, and he's like, "Oh, that's not a bad idea." He's like, "Okay, yeah, we're gonna send a shuttle over on remote, and we'll give you the code once it gets over there," which should be a first indication to any species that that's a bad idea. But
Yeah.
it works.
We're not sending a bomb. Don't worry.
Yeah, don't worry, it's not a bomb.
unmanned shuttle.
It's not a bomb, just an unmanned shuttle.
I do like that this universe has no transporters, so they have to send things, physically.
Yeah.
So Norman,
I like
has
too
given us
that the shuttles
score
are
already.
fast. Like they take off fast, they dock fast. Like it's not you're not
not like-
waiting
You're not
for
waiting
the
half an hour.
scene or for the
Yeah.
door
So
to
she's
open or any
got
of
the
that.
official
Airlock.
union glue gun for crafts.
The glue gun, yeah.
Yeah,
It was-
she's got a glue gun for
I
crafts.
make great macaroni men. Don't you worry.
Yeah,
Man,
so-
that was good too.
yeah, the macaroni man was pretty funny too.
What I found the most funny about this scene is how much he concentrated on putting that
On
seed
putting the seed on this
top. Like,
dot of glue, yeah.
He really made a point of overacting that for some reason.
Yeah. He's like, it's almost like an Indiana Jones moment, eh? He's like,
Yeah.
putting it on. So anyway, they send the shuttle over. The Krill receive it. And then basically he goes, okay, well, the code is this, and oh, by the way, happy Arbor Day. Which I think is pretty funny.
Not as funny as you got wood.
Yeah. And then Kelly's like, he's like, yeah. So then you see the they obviously set it off. The tree grows and breaks the entire ship.
Happy Arbor Day. I like Arbor Day better. I didn't have to think about it. I know it's trees.
Yeah. Wow.
I love it. Yeah. What is Arbor Day?
What is this
Yeah.
Arbor Day?
Oh, the only other one that knew was the scientist.
Yeah.
Right. But then they're like kind of a weird reference.
Basically,
but-
this huge tree just grows
But
instantly.
the funny
in
thing
ship
is
and
when he
blows it up.
concedes and goes, "Yeah, you're right. Yours is funnier."
Yeah.
That's better.
And then,
Yeah,
and then he's like,
that's better,
what
isn't it?
what would you? And she's like, you got wood, right?
Damn, that
And
is
he's like,
better.
oh, damn, that is better.
Well, now she's really gaining his respect, though. As an officer.
Well, they're starting to have that camaraderie, right? Which is
They're a good
kind of
team.
what-
I think it's setting up that they're a good team, right? And
Yeah,
that they can-
exactly. So, but overall, we see the ship come back. It's very broken, which is cool, I think. And anyway, now we have this final scene basically, which has that extremely long joke, which is stupid. But basically, she's like, blah 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 blah. I got wind. I'm going to be heading out. And he's like, well, blah blah blah. It wasn't too bad, I guess. All that.
He
And
asks her to stay.
yeah, and he's like, maybe you should stay. And I guess she kind of has this idea of not to, because she's like, probably not a good idea. But anyway, and then we have this stupid scene where it's with, oh, we're trying to talk here. Like, that guy could hear you. Like, come on. He ain't gonna hear you. He doesn't know what the hell you're.
It didn't bug me, but it was kind of like,
It was dumb.
It
was
just
just
I didn't need it.
too long.
I didn't need
it's
it.
an extra.
It didn't
It's an
land.
extra.
Especially with the amount of laughs you had in the show already. Like, this
Yeah.
was just the worst one. Like, it was bad. So anyway, but they basically have this kind of a little bit of a heart to heart here. And she's like, well, kind of gotta go. And he's like, you gotta stay. Like, it's fine. And then she kind of, I guess she at the we still don't see Kermit. I guess I got no screenshots.
No,
of
he's
Kermit.
very small. You have to go back a few shots. Yeah, he's right there.
Yeah.
He's that little, right there on the far right.
They bring him in as a plush toy later on.
Oh, he's a
Later
plush
on.
toy.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Which I
I was looking for
interesting.
the plush toy. Yeah.
Because they made this before Disney acquired Fox, which is originally where they made this, right? And Kermit's now a Disney property, or the Muppets are a Disney.
So they probably
property.
had to pay for
Ask-
the rights to use
They had to
it,
ask for permission at least, right? for
at
them to
least,
do
yeah,
that.
and if not, pay for it because it's Disney. But did Disney acquire the Muppets at that point? Yeah, I guess they
No.
would
This
have.
is the point where Fox, still was independent and hadn't been acquired yet.
No, but I mean, did Disney own?
Oh yeah, they had owned the Muppets since like the
had to for a
80s.
while, right? Yeah. So with that, he would have had to ask permission from Disney. But Favreau is also tight with Disney, so
Oh, that's true. Favreau is the in with Disney.
Yeah,
and he directed
so-
the episode.
and he directed the episode, so it probably was a pretty easy ask. But anyway, she's like, yeah, okay, I guess I'll stay. And he's like, fine, let's be friends. They shake hands, and then at that point, we go back to the Union headquarters, where we think we're going to see Mercer talking, but it's actually Kelly, and he's like, so does he have any idea?
Right.
So
What do you guys think about that? These two kind of made this plot, where we're gonna promote Ed to captain, and then I'll be his first officer. But this will actually show you guys that he's actually
he got promoted because of Kelly, though, because Kelly
right. She
said
went to bat for him.
Yeah, she went to bat for him, and I
I
guess
like
Kelly
this.
has.
I think that she felt so guilty about her transgression.
This is also a good way to show that her character isn't the bitch that everybody thinks she is, right? Like she clearly has motives that are not for her, like they're for other people, which is great. And that's kind of what you want in EXO, right? So
Well, she's got a tough gig here. Like, she's playing a character that right off the bat, she's a cheater, which is going to make her tough to like right from the bat.
Yeah.
By the end of
the
the
audience
episode,
isn't going to like her. Yeah, but
by the end of the
I think by
episode,
the end of
you
the
do like
episode,
her.
I liked her enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
I love her
basically-
name, Kelly Grayson. It's a great name.
Kelly Grayson. Yeah, I'm sure that has something to do with Batman, but because
Dick Grayson.
McFarlane McFarlane likes Batman too. So, but anyway, and then we got our credits. So that's where we're at, boys. So what do we think of that first initial episode of the series?
Still good.
It's good.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know what time it is now, boys.
Fun facts.
It's
facts.
time for fun
Double F
facts
with Adam.
Adam.
I've got some on the general series itself, and then some
Okay.
on the episode. So let's
All
start.
right, let's hear him.
Let's get into this. So, excuse me, Admiral Halsey was also the name of William F. Halsey, an American fleet admiral in the United States Navy. At the start of the American involvement in World War II in the Pacific, Halsey was made commander of the Third Fleet. Halsey's flagship early in the war was the U.S.S. Enterprise, which became the Enterprise or the inspiration for the starship in Star Trek.
Oh, that's
that's
cool.
why they chose that name for Star
That's a
Trek.
neat little homage. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I've got the picture of it up there from Captain Archer's cabin.
Enterprise.
Yeah, that's right.
From Enterprise. Funny enough.
Okay, let's keep going here. Seth MacFarlane previously said that he was interested in reviving Star Trek for television. The Orville, a not so subtle Star Trek homage, premiered the same year as Discovery, as we talked about earlier.
Not so subtle,
Not so subtle.
Not very subtle, no.
but I'm fine with it. Honestly, It's so different than Discovery or even Strange New Worlds. It's a different flavor.
Actually, I feel strange. I got Strange New Worlds. I get a little bit of the vibes from the Orville on that show. Some of the camaraderie that happens between the characters, I think, but it is definitely more serious.
Well, I think a lot of these shows have camaraderie,
I mean that type though, like the type of the friends and stuff like that,
and the jokes, maybe the more
jokes,
lighthearted part of it.
There is some jokes in Strange New Worlds too,
yeah. Lieutenant Commander Bortus resembles a Klingon. Bortus was also the name of a Klingon ship that Gowron commanded in Star Trek Next Generation.
I thought that. Yeah, I never looked it up, but yeah, I remember when I first heard his name, I was like, yeah, I remember something about that. Yeah, that's cool.
Unusually, while all Union ships are referred to with the prefix of U.S.S. in their name, the main ship is referred to in the dialogue as the U.S.S. Orville numerous times, for example. No Union vessel actually bears the prefix on its hull markings.
Yeah, it's ECR or something.
It's only like the registry.
Yeah, ECV 197 is the registry for the Orville.
Yeah.
Okay, Penny Johnson is the only cast member with extensive science fiction acting experience. She was guest starred in Homeward in 1994 before a recurring role as Ben Sisko's main love interest. She also was in Family Business. Seth MacFarlane. Okay, she's the one. Seth MacFarlane also appeared with as a junior engineer, Ensign Rivers in The Forgotten and The Affliction in Enterprise, and Scott Grimes had scenes from Evolution in 1989.
Yeah, that's the episode he's in, Evolution.
I don't remember that one.
Yep. So the majority of season 1 was directed by various Star Trek alumni, including Seth MacFarlane, who was Ensign Rivers, James L. Conway, who directed Next Generation 1987 and Deep Space Nine episodes. Brannon Braga directed. Robert Duncan McNeil he was obviously Tom Paris, and Jonathan Frakes directed as well. Season 1 episodes.
I think this episode was O'Neill, wasn't it?
Not sure.
Or was this Favreau?
This is Favreau. Yeah, we already made. Yeah, the Blob Lake character Yaphet is named after the actor Yaphet Kotto, who played character Parker in Alien 1979.
Okay. I thought that might be the case. You probably caught that too, because both of us are very big Alien fans.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into the episode. So Alara Kitan was originally planned to have no eyebrows. So Halston Sage shaved off her own eyebrows for the role.
Oh, God.
However, the resulting look was received poorly, and for the remainder of the series, she can be seen having false eyebrows on.
Yeah, it was better with the eyebrows.
That's dedication.
Yep. Near the beginning of the series premiere, there's a scene that shows the bridge from the outside of the ship. This recalls the opening scene of The Cage, the first Star Trek production ever filmed.
Oh, yeah.
The Epsilon Research Center was filmed at the same building that served as headquarters for the San Angeles Police and Demolition Man.
That's where I've seen it. That's where I've seen it. I love that movie.
Yeah. And the Institute is the same building used multiple times in Star Trek, mainly as Starfleet Academy as well.
Okay. Well, that's why it looks so familiar too. Okay.
Yeah.
And if you guys from Star Trek Next Generation episode Evolution, here was Scott Grimes back then.
Oh my God.
What was that episode about?
What is the episode about? Not really. It's
okay. That's quite the outfit.
The Enterprise approaches the Cavis Alpha binary system to perform astrophysics research under the guidance of Dr. Paul Stubbs.
Stubbs. Okay, so that's the one with the that's the guy from Scrubs.
Ken
Yes.
Jenkins.
Jenkins,
It's a Guinan episode too.
It is a Guinan episode, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
I don't even remember that scene. That's so weird. I'm gonna have to
I think it's a very quick scene. He mostly deals with Wesley or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
The inclusion of seatbelts in the shuttle is an inside joke, as there was multiple instances in Star Trek where ships crashed without the benefit of any safety devices, such as seatbelts, for the benefit of the crew. So Seth MacFarlane was famous for lampooning the inconsistency in Star Trek in his shows.
Yes. Well,
That makes sense.
Obviously, the ship is always like the Orville moves at speed. They don't wear seatbelts.
Enterprise had their shuttles had seatbelts.
Well,
They didn't always wear them, but
there was at least one episode of Star Trek where we saw them sort of the seatbelt, or it was a deleted scene, I think, from Nemesis, where you saw Picard getting all the seatbelt stuff come on.
Oh yes, you're right. Yeah. I remember seeing that.
Mercer asked Aronoff to stay behind. Mercer asked Aronoff to stay behind Alara. Aronoff says he doesn't know who that is because he's just getting used to names. That was a funny joke too.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Still learning names. That was funny. Yeah.
Actually, it was a tongue-in-cheek joke. It was the first episode, and the audience was not familiar with everybody's name, so it was.
We couldn't remember her name when we were talking about her.
No, I couldn't either.
Right. Episodes mirror one another, sharing the same plot curve as with the encounter at Farpoint, in that Riker joins the episode later, and later in the episode, and so did Kelly Grayson.
Oh,
I never put the two together, but yeah, okay.
Actually, that was a fun fact from last week, so I should have caught that one.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, who will?
Who is going to get us the fun facts if it isn't Adam?
Isaac's home planet is referred to as Kalon 1. It was subsequently just be known as Kalon.
Okay,
Yeah, because they don't refer to it as Kalon 1 in the third season. And they're there a lot. So, yeah. Never noticed that.
And Ed refers to even his name, Ed. It's just like
Just Ed.
for a captain. Yeah, it's kind of a choice.
Ed refers to the marriage counselor that Kelly suggested as her brother-in-law, meaning she has at least one sibling.
Yeah.
Admiral Hawley says that Grayson's father was a good friend of him, implying that her father was deceased. This provides rare insight into her family and past, which is not generally discussed beyond her relationship with Ed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even think it's been brought up ever past that.
And then finally, during the senior staff introductions, Isaac's referred to as a science and engineering officer. The engineering officer would subsequently be split off in its own position, which Lamar would take over.
And Yaphet's kind of an engineer too, right? The Norm Macdonald character. Although he's not
they don't do anything with Yaphet though in this episode. Other than
he just has
Mercer
he has one
walks through.
line.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yaphet
man, no
becomes much more primary later on in the show.
And I think I'll wrap it up with that, guys.
All right. Well, thank you, Kevin. Or sorry, not Kevin, Adam. I know your guys' names. It even says on the screen.
Thank you.
We do that to
All
make
right.
it easier.
So do we have a ratings board?
Yeah, let's rate this.
Because Mr. Statistics would have it.
Well, we won't remember later. Let's get it done.
As well.
Okay. Well, old wounds, Jody. I think you're up first.
Oh, geez. I have to be first, do I? I'm going to give this a solid 9. I think this is a very good. It's a very good premiere episode. I think we kind of hit all the marks we need to hit. We learn who they all are fairly quickly. Like by the end of this episode, I have a good idea what all the characters are for the most part, with the exception of maybe Boris. But
okay, 9 from Jody. Adam, you're up.
I'll give it an 8.5. I liked it a lot. It was good. Good introduction. It went by quickly. I can't remember season or the next episode at all, so I'm ready. Let's go.
Well, consider I just watched the encounter at Farpoint last week. Do I have a column for Murphy? Why are you doing this to me, Murphy? Okay. I don't have a column for you right now. Oh my god. All right, Murphy.
you could be Jaemeel.
All right.
Until
No,
Jaemeel joins us, if he wants to join us.
All right. What's he giving it? An 8.
He gave it an 8.
Okay. I'm taking Davin off here because he's probably never coming. All right.
Probably not.
And probably a 0 every time. So
Yeah.
Might
Was
as
Seth
well just fill it
MacFarlane
in.
in the episode? 0. -1.
-1.
He wrote the episode actually. Then -5. Okay. This is me, Dave. I'm going to give it a 9.5. Really good.
I am as well. 9.5. I think for just start of a series, this is near perfect.
Okay, there's something wrong with our math. Because there's no way that's a 7.5.
It might be counting the zeros that you hit.
Maybe. Hold on. Spreadsheets with Dave.
And now we are moving on to a
Spreadsheets for
segment.
Dave.
Spreadsheet.
Oh, because Davin Zero is
It's fucking
bringing it down.
I'll just take him out.
There we go.
8.9. That makes more sense. Yeah, there we go. We're
All
better
right.
off now.
8.9 is our average. See, Davin was cursing us right from
Right from the beginning.
Even when
Yeah.
he's not on the show, he can show it.
He's bringing it down. 7.4 is the IMDb rating for this episode. So that's about 18.2. As we mentioned, Favreau directed. McFarlane wrote it all. And it came out in 2017, set in 2418 and 2419, which is further along than even Star Trek Picard, equivalent. And that's that.
All right. And some other scores here from some viewers. Norman gave it an 8.7, so he's pretty much spot on where we were. Same thing with Sam. Sam gave it a 9.
Sam gave it a 9, but I don't think he actually ever watched it. He just listened to us talk about it.
Oh, you think so? Maybe. I think
He literally says earlier in here, like, I have never watched this, unless he had watched just this episode. Maybe
he only watched this episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe he's going to follow along, which we encourage everybody to follow along. So maybe he never seen it. This is my first time. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
He's seeing it. All right. Well,
What's episode 2?
Command performance.
Command performance, yes, which is actually if I recall, that is a Bortus episode, and I believe that's
the technology advanced Caliban capture imprisoned Mercer and Grayson for exhibit in a
This is great.
zoo.
I love
Yeah.
this.
Okay.
Oh, this is the zoo one. Yeah,
You're right.
Yeah, but this is-
Alara gets left in command and all that because Bortus has to lay an
because
egg.
Bortus is sitting on an
Yeah.
egg,
And that's before Lamar's promoted and everything.
Yeah. Which when we see the egg, we're gonna have to discuss that because I have no way that came out of him. I have no idea how that would have come out of him.
It was directed by Tom Paris himself, Robert Duncan McNeil. So.
That's where I got the idea. Yeah, I knew he was directing one of the episodes. I just couldn't remember which one. All right, Dave. Well, Dave, we do have other things on the umbrella of Live Long and Podcasts, mostly Star Trek.
Well,
except for this episode.
So this is the first.
This is the Renegade series now.
The Renegade series, if you will. Yeah, of course, we've done all kinds of Star Trek reviews here on the network over the years. We've done Deep Space. We just wrapped Deep Space Nine. We just finished up Discovery. We'll be back for Star Trek Prodigy July 1st, as the second season is going to be coming on Netflix. So I'll be back with.
Did that get picked up for a third yet, or no?
No, not that I know of. But this is about season 2. We're talking about season 2 coming out July 1st. And whenever other new Star Treks come out, we're going to talk about those too. So, and then we have our science division where we have the debates and trivias and long formats, and we have an interview coming up with a Star Trek writer in the near future.
Which one?
His name Ron Rubin, I believe.
Rubin.
No, that's the X-Men guy.
That's X-Men,
Sorry.
yeah.
There's another guy we have coming. It's not scheduled yet, but it's coming.
Oh, well, when it's scheduled, we'll make sure we tell
I have to go into my DMs with Davin to remember his name.
Oh, well, you don't got time for that yet.
Yeah, I don't have time for that.
All right.
And then we'll plug all the UFP stuff with our little trailer at the end.
Yeah, we have a little trailer, but well, final thoughts, anybody?
I'm excited for this. We'll check out the Next Generation tomorrow. We'll be talking about the newest episode. Well, not the newest episode. We'll be talking about a really old episode.
Well, we're really late on that one.
Yeah, from 1987. We're talking about episode 3.
It's almost the oldest episode.
Yeah, it's the second oldest.
It's the second oldest episode. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're doing the Naked Now tomorrow.
Naked Now, right? Yeah.
We have on tomorrow. We have Adam and Callie and Jane and my dad. So
nice.
I can't wait to watch that. That's gonna
check
be
all
good.
that out.
Even Callie, eh? All right. She's joining the Federation.
She kind of enjoys this episode, and
I can't wait to see her on. That would be great.
Yeah. We're gonna talk all about that. I'm really curious to see what my dad says about this episode.
I would be surprised if your dad even watched it.
Is this his first time watching this one?
Oh yeah.
I don't think he's watched any Next Gen. Yeah.
He maybe watched the pilot in '87 with us and then never again.
Then he was
but weirdly, I do remember him watching All Good Things, the finale, for whatever reason, because I think it was just like a huge moment. So sometimes my dad will watch things like that.
It was a pretty big moment, though. I remember
when that ended.
Yeah, I remember like the TV Guide had like a big finale, big huge finale episode that had a whole bunch of pictures in it, and I remember like the promos on TV for that were insane.
Like I remember my dad even watching the Survivor finale of season 1, and he never really watch.
So
that
he's a bookend viewer. Then he only watches the first and the
if there's a
last
lot of
episode.
hype, if there's a lot of hype about something, he'll check it out.
Fair enough. Well, I'm sure he'll enjoy it though.
Yeah, I'm sure he will.
But remember, it was a different time, Dave.
We didn't know yet. It was the 80s. We hadn't.
It was the 80s. They didn't know.
Yeah.
They didn't know any better.
Right. And with that, well, I guess we can sign off for tonight then, Jody.
think we can.
But check out the other great stuff in the United Federation of Podcasts, as we'll show you here at the end.
All right, you're gonna do that though, right?
Yeah, I guess I'm waiting to see if you have some kind of sign off, but I don't know if you do.
I don't for this. We're still working on our exit strategy.
Okay.
But for now, let's just sign off with our lovely faces and your promo video.
All right. Well, can we do this still? Is it Live Long?
Absolutely.
Sure,
we
why
can do
not?
that.
All
Why not?
right. Live Long and Podcast. We'll see you next time.
All right.
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Artistic interviews with graphic histories. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on trivial debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.